This right here is my 2015 Ford Transit camper van, and I converted this with my husband back a few years ago, and it has been listed on platforms like Outdoorsy, RVezy, and RVshare ever since. And it's been an extremely long time since I talked about this van here on this channel, so in this video, I'm going to be talking about how this van has been doing on these platforms, some of my different thoughts about renting out RVs and vans through peer-to-peer car sharing websites, and ultimately whether or not I think that this van was worth it. Now first, let me give you guys a brief tour of this van, and then we'll go into the actual numbers and the overall experience. Now this is a high-roofed Ford Transit camper van. You can see looking at it that this thing is absolutely massive. To give you some perspective, that is my house behind it, which is a one-story home, and obviously we cannot park this thing in the garage. Over the course of our ownership, we've done things like add knobby off-road tires. We added this itty-bitty push bar and light bar, which actually has worked out extremely well. We installed solar on the roof, which I'll get into more here in a minute, and obviously the entire interior is also built out. Now going into the van, the entire thing is built out, and the van is off-grid, so it does have full electricity with lights. Now this van is actually going on a week-long trip tomorrow, so we are in the process of cleaning it up, getting it ready for its next rental, which includes washing all the linens and making the bed, which is why there's a big pile of sheets behind me. But you can see looking at the front that the front is your very standard van. We do have a digital rear view mirror, and the actual build of the van starts here in the back. Now we built this van from complete scratch. We actually bought this van back in 2020, and whenever we bought it, it was a full-fledged passenger van. It had seats in it. We ended up stripping those out. We ended up selling them, and then we built the van once we had the seat stripped. So this van truly was built from the bottom up. By far, one of my favorite features of this van is the off-road, off-grid electricity. We have solar panels on the roof, and we have these electric dials here that control the lights. We have our charger here, the on and off switch here, the emergency shutoffs here, and our controller here. Everything in the van that runs off of electricity, from the lights to that fan, as well as these charging ports here, all of this is ran by the solar panels that are on the roof. And again, it is totally off-grid, so whenever you're driving the van, you don't have to worry about going to a campsite, hooking up. It is all powered by the sun. The water pump also runs off of the solar as well. We have a water tank underneath the bed, which I'll show you guys in a second. And then the gray water collects underneath here, and there's like a quick release valve here, so you can easily detach the water. I'm not actually going to show it here, but this was a super clever design that I found on YouTube, and we replicated it. And then of course there's miscellaneous stuff down here as well. And we have a cool water bottle cleaner here as well, which I think is really great for such a compact space. This is where people typically would store food, but here is where people will store like plates, coffee cups, things like that. More storage up here, and then back there you can also see some additional storage as well. And we have a nice trash can here behind the seat. The van is also fully insulated through the walls, and so whenever you're traveling, it is pretty comfortable. You probably do need to have the fan circulating on just so that there's like movement throughout the van, but HP and I have traveled in both the winter and the summer in it, and it has been extremely comfortable, even with the two of us and our dog. Now going into the back, this is what we would refer to as the garage. And here we have miscellaneous storage on both sides, and this is where we'll put things like shoes, shampoo, my straightener, hairbrushes, dog leashes, things like that. In these top compartments here, what we'll typically do is we'll put like our clothes for the next day. So we'll actually store like our suitcases and our gear underneath the bed. And then before we go to sleep, we'll put our next day clothes, maybe even the clothes for the day after, up in those caddies. That way it's easy to grab. We don't have to worry about having to dig through our suitcases every day. Here's our storage for the van. So this was designed with adult bikes in mind. Whenever HP and I built this, we were pretty avid mountain bikers. We've kind of stopped doing that. So we've never actually used this van for mountain biking, but we did want the ability for us to be able to store our bikes if we choose to. So with HP and I's bike back here, we can perfectly fit it, and it works really well. And here's the water tank that is hooked up to the sink, and you can see that there is a water pump behind it. In this back storage area, you can very comfortably fit a bunch of different gear. We've brought snowboards. We haven't brought in bikes yet, but we definitely could if we wanted to. We've brought a bunch of stuff for our dog. We've traveled in this thing for weeks at a time. There's a ton of space back here. And it is nice, so you can access the main cabin from the garage area. So whether you want like a breeze, if you're like throwing stuff over, like your change of clothes for the next day, whatever, you can put it in here and it makes it super easy. Now, I'm not going to show it here because it's a bit of a pain to get to, but in the box behind me, we also have things like a propane grill, Of course, there's like chairs here as well. And there is a portable toilet as well as a portable shower. Now, we don't advertise this van as having toilets and shower, but we do say in the listing that there is options if you really need it. We've actually never used either. We have just always been in a situation where we can use a public restroom, and we've just used like Love gas stations instead of the portable shower situation. But it does come in the van in case somebody does want to use it. I actually don't know if anybody has. It's never come back dirty, so if people have used it, they've cleaned it very well. But this is the entire van. It is super simple, but also super complex at the same time. And I've got to be honest, I absolutely love this camper van. Now, we actually bought this van back in 2020, and we paid about $20,000 for it, give or take maybe a couple of thousand. It was a long time ago. We were supposed to originally get this van done by December of 2020, so about 6 months after we bought it, but we didn't actually end up finishing it until October of 2022, which was over 2 years later. Now, the reason why it took so incredibly long is partially because of prioritizations. We were just busy doing other things, doing this YouTube channel, managing our Turo fleet. There were just other things on our plate, but it was also because this was a very intense project. It took a long time. There was a lot into it. And as two people who had never done it before, it just took a lot longer than expected. But as we sit here today, the van is completely done, and it has been, of course, for a long time. My husband HP and I got married in it when we eloped in Yosemite. We've taken it to Big Bend National Park, a ton of road trips, the Northeast to see the fall colors turn. We even took it to New Mexico the night that we were closing on our rental property so that we didn't have to rent a hotel. We have used this thing a bunch of different times, and we absolutely love it. And so personally speaking, I absolutely love this van. I have zero regrets in building it out, buying it, and I would do it all over again if I had the chance. But I know that the real question that you guys are asking is, how does this perform rental-wise, and is it something that I would recommend for other people to do? Now, if you guys watch my channel often, or if you watch my vlog channel, you may remember that back a couple of years ago, we bought a 29-foot pulling RV, so like something that you pull behind a truck. And in addition to renting out this, we also rented out that. And I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that if I could go back in time and buy that RV again, I would not have done it. Renting out that RV was extremely expensive. People were constantly damaging it. There was a ton of maintenance issues. It truly was a combination of renting out an Airbnb and a camper van in one, and it was terrible. It was hard to clean, hard to store. It was extremely difficult. Now, due to a number of different damage claims and us selling at the right time, we actually didn't end up losing any money on that RV, and we ended up making a good profit. This camper van, on the other hand, I would say has definitely been worth it. The camper van is significantly easier to drive. It really is like driving a normal car. Of course, you do have to take special things into consideration, like the size and height of the car, but generally speaking, it is very easy to drive. You don't need any special trucks or equipment to do it like you do with a 29-foot RV. And so anybody who feels confident driving a car of this size can easily rent this car and drive it. Additionally is the fact that, as I mentioned earlier, with a traditional RV, you have to be worried about RV hookups, RV sites, where you can drive with it. None of this applies with this camper van because of the fact that it's off-grid. And so, for example, whenever HP and I have taken this car on road trips, we can literally park on the side of the road, camp there, have full electricity without having to do anything special to hook up the actual van, which is definitely not the case with a large RV like a 29-foot one. Additionally is the fact that camper vans like this are kind of the hot, sexy thing. People like the idea of them, they like to rent them, and a lot of people rent them for either weekend getaways or for long-term trips. Weekend getaways are particularly popular during the off-season, so in the fall, winter, early spring, we get a lot of people who are just renting it for 2, 3, maybe 4 days, while in the summer, we get a ton of people who are renting this thing for weeks at a time. In fact, the last 2 summers, we had an extended renter who rented it from the beginning of summer to the end of the summer for a cross-country road trip. And while we don't have that exact same thing lined up this year, we do have a lot of week to 10-day trips that are lined up throughout the summer. Now, as I mentioned, this van is rented out on Outdoorsy, RV Share, Arvezi, Good Sam Rentals, as well as a couple of others. And this van cost us $35,000 in total to build out. We paid off the van years ago around the same time that we finished the build out, so there is no car payment associated with this. And since we started renting this van out in October of 2022, we have made $35,000 profit on this van. That does not include the actual cost and build out of the van, but just the operational cost of the van, which means that we have made all of our money back and we still have a perfectly intact van. Now, I've been pleasantly surprised with this camper van from a standpoint of damage claims. Guests are really respectful of the car. They're really great to deal with. Overall, I would say from a guest perspective and from a vehicle perspective, this camper van has totally exceeded my expectations. But I do have to be realistic in saying that whenever you look at some of the ROI on different Turo cars or different cars that you can buy for car sharing, the ROI on a camper van may not make a ton of sense. It's been 2.5 years, we've made $35,000 profit. That is really solid, but whenever you take into account how long it took us to build this, the cost it took us to build this, and the logistics of turning over this van for rentals, there probably are better investments out there. In fact, I know that there are because we have Turo cars that have a better ROI. However, this van has been an incredible experience. I have wanted a camper van for as long as I can remember, and to be able to fulfill that dream was truly a dream come true. HP, myself, and our dog have taken this van on a number of different trips, and we have a lot planned for the future as well. And so the ability to have this van, to be able to use it, but to also be able to make money off of it, it has been a huge win. And so I guess the consensus here is, in the conclusion of this video, is that I think that if you're somebody who's wanting to rent out something like an RV or a camper, I would recommend staying away from these large campers that require a specialized vehicle or special skills in order to drive, because these are a disaster waiting to happen. If you choose to get like a pool RV, I would recommend getting something smaller and more manageable. And if you are someone who's wanting to buy a camper van to rent out, I think that it can totally be worth it if you are someone who's also wanting to use it. Because I know for me, this van has 100% been worth it. And as we head into the busy season, I know that this van is going to be making us a lot of money over the next couple of months. Like always, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, comments, if you have anything to add, I would love to hear it. So make sure to leave a comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell. And I will see you guys in the next video.